I am the man Aeneas, of whom Virgil sung, forced by fate and haughty Juno's unrelenting hate. Expelled and exiled, left my father's shore, I bore long labors both by sea and land and in that Trojan war. All this before I won the Latin realm and built that glorious destined town.
Rome, if any nation deserves the privilege of claiming a divine ancestry, that nation is our own. When we declare that Mars himself was our first parent and father of Romulus, the man who founded our city, all the nations of the world might as well accept it as readily as they accept Rome's imperial dominion.
Good afternoon. Welcome to famous men of Rome. Please allow me, the legendary hero Aeneas,
and me, the famous historian Livy,
to take you on a journey in 3 parts. You will chart the Roman age of kings,
the glory of the Republic,
and the power of the Western Empire.
Please enjoy the performance.
I am the descendant of brave Aeneas, who sailed the great sea in search of a new home, a new Troy, a country to one day rule the world. I founded Rome. My name is Romulus. Welcome one, welcome all. Come to my city of refuge. Be you wanderer, fugitive, or refugee, you shall find a home in this city. Rome is a city worthy of your desires, O admirable Latin race. We will be the forebears of truly armed, majestic, and brave men. You have chosen to pursue greatness, and for that, you are truly praiseworthy. The glory of our city will be incomparable to all other cities. Today you are laying the foundations of victory, dignity, peace, and life.
Thank you, great Romulus. We are forever your servants, soldiers, and loyal companions. But tell us, where shall I find good wives to marry? None will come to us because we are known as criminals and vagrants. Who on earth will marry us?
What do we need though we cannot steal from our neighbors? We would invite our neighbors the Sabines to a festival with games and feasting. At the sound of a horn, every man will take a woman and ride back to Rome.
And this they did. Causing King Tatius of the Sabines to make war. But he and Romulus, with the grace of the Sabine women, were able to make peace before much harm was done. Rome prospered, and a Senate was formed to govern it. Romulus became first king of what would become a grand civilization.
Rome became a civilization that not only acted grandly, but looked grand. Many splendid buildings were erected by the great King Tarquin.
I am Tarquin, and to anyone with the name Tarquin, power is the breath of life. To some, our name is an ill omen, dangerous to liberty, but I did many great things. Here you see my racetrack, the Circus Maximus.
After King Tarquin, a man named Servius Tullius ruled Rome with goodness and gentleness, but another man, a son of Tarquin, plotted against him. His name was Tarquin the Proud.
This impostor, Servius Tullius, will not stand my way any longer, and I shall be king over his dead body.
So Tarquin the Proud did as he said. Servius Tullius was killed. Tarquin the Proud would be the last king of Rome because he was such a cruel tyrant. One of his sons, named Sextus, insulted a young lady of the royal court. Her name was Lucretia. She was so ashamed of herself that she plunged a dagger into her heart. At this outrage, a leader arose to defy the tyranny of Sextus and Tarquin the Proud. His name was Junius Brutus.
By this girl's blood, none more chased till a tyrant wronged her, and by the gods I swear that with sword and fire, and whatever else I can lend strength to my arm, I will pursue Lucius Tarquinius the Proud, his wicked wife, and all his children, and never again will I let them or any other man be king in Rome.
We will not suffer one man to rule Rome. Down with Tarquin the tyrant!
No more kings! No more kings!
Junius Brutus was given as splendid a funeral as those early days the Republic could afford. But an even greater tribute to him was the nation's sorrow, of which the most poignant expression was given by the women of Rome, who mourned him for a year as a father. It was their special tribute to his fierce championship of a woman's honor.
Thus the ages of the kings ended, and the people would suffer no single man to rule Rome. Instead, they put their faith in the rule of the Senate. But Rome's housey King Tarquin would not go down without a fight. He joined forces with Lars Porsena, king of Clusium, to try to take back his throne. Porsena and his army marched to Rome, but there they encountered some difficulty.
The only way for the Etruscans to enter our city is by crossing the Silvican Bridge. Consul, what should we do?
We must get down the bridge. It's the only way to save our city. As many who can begin dismantling the bridge.
The Etruscans are in sight. We're running out of time.
If only someone could hold them off while I finish tearing down the bridge.
Who could do that? A whole army against one man?
Consul, give me 2 good men and I will defend the bridge and hold the enemy at bay.
3 men to hold back thousands?
We can easily defeat 3 men. The city will be ours. The bridge is about to fall. Run back to the other end while I stay here and defend it. The bridge is down, Horatius.
Down turned he, has not deigning those craven ranks to see. Not spake to Lars Porsena, to Sextus not spake he. But he saw on Palatinus the white porch of his home, and he spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome.
O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms take thou in charge this day.
So he spake, and speaking sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back plunged headlong in the tide.
When I emerged on dry earth, the leaders of Rome were there to greet me, and even Lars Porsena's prayers for my safety were answered. With shouts of clapping and weeping, I returned to my home through the river gate, borne along the shoulders of the crowd.
Horatius was well rewarded for his bravery and had a statue erected in his honor. Porsena decided to keep his army on the other side of the Tiber. His plan was to besiege Rome, preventing food from being sent in, thus forcing the Romans to surrender. There was only one thing Porsena had not accounted for: Gaius Mucius.
I have devised a way to save our city. I'm going to march right into the Etruscan camp, find Porsena, and kill him. That should put an end to this siege.
Here's your pay. Go tell your troops to prepare guard duty at the river. Distribute this money and report back to me. Oh no, he killed the secretary!
Who are you and why have you done this?
I am a Roman citizen. I came here to kill you because you are an enemy of Rome. I have failed, but there are others coming who will not fail. Your life is in constant danger, Lord Portina, and you will one day be killed when you least expect it.
I shall burn you to death if you do not at once tell me all of Rome's plans to kill me.
Behold how little we Romans care for pain when it is to defend our country.
I am amazed. This man's heart is fearless and cannot be bound. Set him free.
In return for your kindness, I now tell you of my own free will, which I would not accept punishment. Know that 300 young Roman men have pledged an oath to kill you. The lot fell first me. I have failed, but more will come until Rome is finally free of you.
Portina was so frightened at these words, he immediately sent messengers to make peace.
Peace did not last. War broke open with the Aequians to the east. The Romans were easily winning. However, in a feigned retreat during one battle, the Romans lured some Roman horsemen into a narrow ravine. It was a trap. One horseman did manage to escape. He returned to Rome and informed the Senate of the dire situation.
We were following the Aequians in pursuit when they led us into a ravine. They barricaded the exits, and most of the army was trapped. The Aequians were surrounding Rome's horsemen at the tops of the hills. There is little grass for the horses to eat, sparing water, and not much food. If we don't act quickly, they will die.
For a while, the Senate saw little hope, but then one senator spoke up.
There's only one man who can save us. Let us go to Cincinnatus.
And so they did. Cincinnatus shall tell you the rest of the story.
When the senators came to find me, I was plowing in my fields. Because Rome needed me, I left my plow and gathered faithful men for my army. Before the sun set that evening, we marched to the hills where the Romans were trapped. In the quiet stillness of dawn, we formed ranks all around the Aequians. It was now they who were trapped. They fought desperately. But in vain. Rome was victorious again. I chose to spare their lives, but not without them passing under the oath. The joy of my countrymen was so great, they wanted to make me king. I was crowned with a laurel wreath and paraded into the city. But I knew my role, so I gave up my power and went back to farming.
When the Roman Republic was under a great threat, they appointed a dictator to have supreme power, but only for as long as it took to secure Rome's safety. Our next famous Roman is Camillus. Camillus was a great soldier and was made dictator of Rome in a time of great danger. But he ran into trouble on one occasion. Camillus was accused by leaders of being greedy with the spoils of war. Such a crime was very serious, and it went to trial. Seeing a trial before the tribunal as a disgrace, he chose a life of exile. As he passed out from Rome's gates, he prayed that the gods would do something so terrible that the Romans would be forced to call for his return.
My prayer is answered. The Romans were invaded by the Gauls. The Gauls swooped down into Italy, defeating all Rome's armies along the way. Most of the Romans deserted the city, leaving it wide open for the Gauls to pillage. Most of the Romans deserted the city, leaving it wide open for the Gauls. Meanwhile, the people who fled sought me out, and as I had prayed, they pleaded for me to return and deliver them from this disaster. arrived just in time. The chief of the Gauls, Brennus, was demanding the Senate to pay him gold in order to leave them alone. This is what I told him. We Romans defend our country not with gold, but with steel. So it was not gold that saved Rome that day, but the sword of Camillus.
The Roman Republic grew in strength and became engaged in a series of wars with the North African city of Carthage. Rome's greatest threat during these Punic Wars was from Hannibal, the great general of Carthage. He traveled thousands of miles through Hispania and over the great Italian Alps. Rome's only hope was the great general Scipio Africanus.
When Carthage sought to conquer Rome a second time, it sent Hannibal across the Alps with war elephants to crush our army. His brother, Hasdrubal, was the first to see my sword when I repelled him from Italia. Hannibal would also witness its cold gleam when it drove his elephants to madness. I gave this short sword, the gladius, to my fellow Romans to pierce the ranks of our enemy for as long as Rome would wield it.
Romans began to get lazy under the protection the armies provided them. There were even periods of peace with Carthage, but not all Romans trusted their North African rivals.
Dolindo as Carthago! I am Senator Cato. In my opinion, Carthage must be destroyed. I felt so strongly about the destruction of Carthage that I ended every single speech it gave to the Senate with those very words, Dolindo as Carthago. I lived during a time when Romans were losing sight of what really mattered. We were going fat and lazy. We spent too much money on things you didn't really need, and it was stealing from our strength as a nation. I chose to live a different life. I lived by the old frugality. I ate plain food, drank cheap wine, and had very few servants. I was made censor, and with my newfound power, I fought against frivolity and waste. People do not need to get around in carriages, they can walk. I levied taxes against Roman Chaldean like safety furniture. Now that non-sexual items like Dolindo as Carthago!
And the military might of Rome grew, and with it grew the power and popularity of army generals. Leaders like Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great made alliances to solidify control of the Republic.
I am the great Julius Caesar. I led armies to conquer Hispania and Gaul and wrote about these wars in a text that would be translated by Latin school students for generations.
The whole of Gaul is divided into 3 parts, one of which the Belgae inhabit,
Stand up against Rome.
the Aquitani another,
Defend our fatherland.
and a third people who in their own language are called Celts, but in ours Gauls.
I'm the king of Greek warriors.
Pompey was a great leader of my day, and I, the great Julius Caesar, made alliance with him. But I would share power for only so long. Pompey came from the nobility, the upper class, but I was a man of the people, and they loved me.
My greatest ambition was to rule Rome. Only Pompey stood in my way. On one fateful day, my army waited at the edge of Italy on the far side of the river Rubicon. Pompey denied me entrance into Rome. Either I would disband my army and give up my ambition, or I would defy Pompey and cross the river. I chose to cross the Rubicon. The die had been cast.
Caesar marched into Italy without the slightest challenge. He crossed the Rubicon, violating Roman laws and prohibiting a Roman army inside its own borders. Even so, he was celebrated by the people. They took the power of the Senate and gave it to him, and that power went to his head.
All while the Senate was planning their revenge on the Ides of March, Caesar was in the Senate pontificating about his greatness.
So in the world 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive. Yet in the number I do know, but one, that unassailable holds on his right, unshaked of motion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it.
O Caesar.
Hence wilt thou lift up Olympus.
Great Caesar.
Doth not Brutus bootless kneel?
Speak, hands free.
Et tu, Brute? Then fall, Caesar.
After the assassination of Julius Caesar, there was one who deprived of his murders. His name was Mark Antony.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. This deed shall be avenged. We will not let Caesar's death be in vain. No, I will use it to my advantage. It is Mark Antony that will rule Rome now. Come, let us find the rest of these conspirators. Yes, and bring them to justice.
Like Pompey and Caesar before, Antony made an alliance with Caesar's descendant, Octavius, but it would not last long.
I am Gaius Julius Caesar Octavius, the great nephew of Julius Caesar. I was destined to be Caesar's heir, and my former ally, Mark Antony, was not going to stop me. Our fleets were battling off the coast of Actium in Greece. Suddenly, in the heat of the battle, Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt and Antony's companion, suddenly pulled her silver oars to flee. Antony chased after her, disgracefully abandoning his soldiers. I, Octavius, was now without rival. I quickly rose to supreme power as Emperor Caesar Augustus, bringing peace and order. My reign saw the flourishing of arts, contentment among the common people, and the birth of the Christ. It was the beginning of a great Roman peace, the Pax Romana.
The emperors who succeeded Augustus were often powerful and intelligent, but they were only occasionally good. The moral decay of Rome is often typified by the rule of Nero. Under this evil man, the Christian church saw great persecution.
Christians, a strange lot, believing in some man called Jesus who died as their Lord. Well, I showed them my lordship. One night in Rome, flames went up all over the city. I couldn't help but be reminded of Troy and its fall. It inspired me to sing and play my harp.
Afterwards, I was blamed for starting the fire. So I had the Christians blamed. They were put to death in many ways. Some said I was cruel. Some even pitied the Christians. But I never deserved what had happened to me. Why, I had done so many things to make beauty and act well, but I was not appreciated. When conspirators came against me, I fled and had to fall upon my sword. One artist the world lost that day.
Years passed, and Rome found itself being ruled by several different so-called emperors who vied for control over the empire. Constantine was one of them. On the day before the Battle of Milvian Bridge, he was praying. God sent Constantine a vision of a light of a cross at midday with an inscription telling him, "By this sign you shall conquer."
Accordingly, I called on God with earnest prayer and supplications that he would reveal to me who he really was and stretch forth his right hand to help me in my present difficulties. And while I was thus praying with fervent entreaty, a most marvelous sign appeared to me from the heavens. About noon, when the day was about to decline, I saw with my own eyes a trophy of the cross from the light of heavens, bearing the inscription, "By this sign you shall conquer." I, myself, was struck with amazement, and my whole army also, who followed me on this expedition and witnessed the miracle.
Constantine made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. By then, the empire had been divided between the east and the west. Constantine moved his government to the east to a city which will be named after him, Constantinople. This division of the Roman Empire, along with his new official religion, did much to benefit the church in new ways. However, it did not prevent the west from being overrun by the Gauls.
Those who worshipped the old pagan gods blamed this new Christian religion for Rome's fall. In North Africa, the Christian bishop Augustine famously responded to this accusation. Was it Christianity's fault that Rome was sacked by the Gauls? No. Rome's own pride and immorality were the source of its trouble. But Christianity offered citizenship in the city of God, where sin is covered by Christ and the pride of man is redeemed by the love of God.
Christianity is a religion worthy of your desires, O my woman waste. The progeny of Junius, Brutus, and Horatius, of Cato, and of Augustus, choose now what you pursue, and that may your praise be not in yourself, but in the one true God, whom is no error. Incomparably more glorious than Rome is that heavenly city, which for victory you have truth, for dignity, holiness, for peace, felicity, for life, eternity.